first of all, the beginning of the story is that back in March of 2021, we held, or I should say tried to hold, a national conference of opposition municipal deputies in Moscow, bringing some 200 incumbent opposition municipal lawmakers from all across Russia, literally from the Baltic to the Pacific. The municipal level of government in Russia, the municipal level of elections, is the last level where there is still some room for political competition, where opposition candidates are still, in many cases, allowed to run. And when they're allowed to run, in a lot of cases, they win. And so there are hundreds of like-minded, pro-democracy opposition municipal lawmakers serving in municipal councils all across Russia. And so our goal was to try to sort of coordinate the efforts of these people to try to create some horizontal links between different municipal lawmakers in different regions of Russia who may not necessarily know each other or know how to cooperate with each other before. So this was the goal, to establish some sort of a platform, a national platform for coordination between these opposition municipal lawmakers across Russia. And so we organized a forum that was held in March of 2021 at the Izmailova Hotel in Moscow. And about half an hour after our conference began, several dozen heavily armed special police unit officers encircled the room. They came into the room. They arrested every single person who was taking part in the conference. We were all bussed around in police vans to several police stations around the city of Moscow, and we were sort of sharing experiences as we're being driven around to these police stations, as to, if anybody remembers, an entire conference room being arrested at once. Before, nobody could, so this was the first time. And of course, all of us were later tried and given fines and administrative convictions for violating the so-called law on undesirable organizations. This is one of the multitude of repressive laws that Vladimir Putin's regime has passed, essentially where the Russian government can declare any organization to be quote-unquote undesirable and then charge anyone with assisting or cooperating with that organization. So it was made very clear to us that it will not be possible to have a conference or a forum or a seminar for opposition municipal lawmakers in our own country. And so this is why Andrej Pivovarov, who headed the United Democrats organization, and myself decided to organize this seminar in Belgrade. And we held it at the beginning of May during our sort of prolonged holiday period when most people are off work. So this was a convenient time. And we brought a group of about 24 opposition municipal lawmakers from across Russia. This was a week-long seminar, about 24 opposition municipal lawmakers from different regions of Russia. We had also lecturers and speakers, and there were lectures about municipal government. There were lectures about how to conduct election campaigns. There were lectures about how to effectively work on social media. So all the normal, regular educational seminars that normally we would hold in our own country, except that the current regime does not leave any opportunity for us to do so. So this is why we held it in Belgrade. And we did see very obvious visual surveillance. So whenever we would walk around the streets of Belgrade, there would be people following us. When we hired a boat to take our colleagues, down a boat tour on the Danube, there was a boat that was following us. It was almost to the point of being ridiculous. Whenever we had lunch at a restaurant, there were people sitting on the next table listening into the conversations. This was done in such a blatant and in-your-face fashion that was actually, funny more than anything else. But of course, as we know now, it wasn't just this shambolic, visual surveillance. There was also apparently audio surveillance that was being conducted at the behest of the Serbian security services, now on the personal initiative of Interior Minister Aleksandar Vulin, who, as we know now, was acting essentially as a lapdog to Vladimir Putin's security chief, Nikolaju Patruševu. And all of our conversations at the seminar, as we read in those reports in the Serbian media, were recorded. And by the way, I hope that Mr. Vulin and Mr. Patruševu enjoy listening to lectures on municipal government and election campaigning and working on social media and so on. Perhaps they'll find some of it useful to themselves. But as we know now, literally a week after our seminar was concluded, Interior Minister Aleksandar Vulin flew to Moscow, and he personally handed to Nikolaju Patruševu, the Secretary of the Russian Security Council, the transcripts of the audio surveillance of our seminar in Belgrade. And at the end of the same month, at the end of May 2021, my friend and colleague and my co-organizer of the Belgrade Forum, Andrej Pivovarov, was arrested, snatched from a plane, Lukashenko style, as he was about to fly from St. Petersburg to Warsaw on a Polish passenger plane. He passed through passport control, passed through security, passed through customs. Everything, all the barriers were behind him. He was sitting on the plane. The plane began to taxi on the runway, and at that moment, 3 FSB cars came in, told the plane to stop. The officers came on board, put him in handcuffs, took him off the plane and put him to prison, where he still is to this day, facing a 6-year prison sentence for making a few Facebook posts. First of all, this is the reality of Vladimir Putin's Russia in the 21st century, but also this is only the formal pretext for his arrest. As we know now, looking at the timeline of what happened in May, the arrest of Andrej Pivovarov, in my view, was directly connected to the fact that Mr. Vulin rushed to Moscow to hand Mr. Patruševu these transcripts of surveillance. We found out this from Serbian media, but also after this publication was made, which I believe was in early December, Russian state television, which obviously is completely Kremlin controlled, put out a big report essentially thanking the Serbian government and the Serbian security services for providing timely information about a clandestine meeting of the enemies of the Russian government who had this horrible and dangerous seminar in Belgrade.